I always like to try to start with some things that are working first, that I
Okay.
feel are working first,
Okay.
and then we can talk about some things that may need some improvement or some suggestions. So
Okay.
I think one of the things that's working really well for me on this piece is the placement of the figure on the page.
Okay.
There's one exception, but we'll get to that. But I think the figure as a whole, I really like what it's doing. I really like the negative spaces. I like this big empty triangle right here
Mm.
because the piece is so busy that
Yeah.
our eye needs, you know, a little bit of space.
Yes.
And I also like that you've got different size negative spaces too. That's really nice. You've got a little piece here. You've got a different kind of a shape that comes down here. So, and then this big one. So that's really, really good. And this big space, this big triangle, it really emphasizes this beautiful curve that you have moving down here on the figure. So I
Mm.
really like that a lot. I also like how well the collage and the line and the paint are playing nicely together. You know, I think there's a
Uh-huh.
really good relationship between all three of those things. Not one isn't really taking over the other. You've got a nice mix of collage, a nice mix of paint, a nice mix of line. So I think that's really strong
Okay.
about the piece. I
I
love
ask
the
you a question?
Sure, please.
So the bottom two pieces
Hmm.
are old paintings that I ripped up and collaged in,
Okay.
right? Which
Yeah.
we talked about on Thursday. And when I went into my studio yesterday, I was kind of like, oh, what the hey, let's try different kind of collage. My question to you is, do you think it would have been good to incorporate a piece of that into the torso just to sort of
Okay.
continue that?
Yes, and I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yes. But my short answer right now is yes.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that's good instincts on your part. Very good
Okay.
instincts on your part. Um, is that enough for now? We'll come back to
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. One of the things that I really like too is the variety of kinds of collage. I think that's fun. You've got all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You've got tape and you've got it looks like maybe wrapping paper and I'm talking about the tape here, talking about I don't know what this image is here, but it looks like wrapping paper to me. You've got looks like some pages from like comics maybe. um, but I think that's nice that it's not all this same stuff everywhere, or
Okay.
not all this same stuff everywhere.
Right.
Okay, so I really like that. I think that's really fun. And then I know you have some collage of old paintings too, so
Yeah.
that's good too. In terms of your drawing, because we always talk about that, I think you've achieved some really nice line quality here. You've got a nice variety. You've got thick line, you've got thin line, you've got really wispy line. See here, you got your thick line here.
Mm-hmm.
I would even consider this a big thick line here, which is nice.
Yeah.
Then you've got some really wispy stuff up in here. It moves in and out of wispiness and then a beautiful curve here. And so anyway, and I love this line over the calf here. So that's nice. I think I really like your line quality. I also think you did a really nice job, and you do this in most of your work, but that it's very expressive and there's a lot of really nice movement to it. So you're pretty good about that. So I think this is a good example of that. It's a seated figure, but it's not static, you
Mm.
know. And then the other thing that I really like, and then we'll move on to some things that maybe are not as working as well, or just some suggestions,
Okay.
is I really can feel the hand of the artist in this piece. I feel like it's you. I feel like this is a piece that you could step back from and say, yep, that's me. I made that. That feels
Yeah.
like it came from me. And I think that's important, and it's hard to do sometimes. But I think you've kept yourself in the piece, and you're not trying to be something that you're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, I honestly, I wouldn't know how to not be me.
Well, right. And so this is not an issue for you. Some people do have that. They try to draw tighter than they really want, or they try
Mm.
to draw bigger than they really want, or they try to draw looser than they really want. You know, this is the way you're working the way you want to work.
Yeah.
And it's not, so it's not an issue for you. It's not something that you really have to think about because it just sort of comes out of you.
Yeah.
But if there's a person who is trying to find their style, or
Right.
trying to find their personal voice, or
Right.
trying to find their technique, you know, they're going to make some things that maybe are not.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to the placement of the figure on the page. I'm a little concerned about this arm paralleling and being so close to the edge of the paper. So for me, it might have almost worked better if it would have gone maybe off the page at the elbow and then back in a little bit again. You know, if there would have been a little bit of movement to it.
Right.
Sometimes when you have things that are so close to the edge and so parallel to the edge, it can pull the viewer's eye off. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what the good thing is that it is but right up next to the paper, so it's giving the figure something to lean against.
Yes.
So that's to me, that's a positive. I think that's how we're getting away with this.
Okay.
Here. Okay. So I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it in this one. It's just keep that in mind for future pieces.
Okay.
Okay.
So you see where that little sliver of white is
Right
at
here?
the edge of the page?
Right here?
Yeah. Would you have just gone completely opaque there all the way down?
Opaque as in the dark arm color opaque?
Yeah, like if they
No,
couldn't perceive the edge of the page.
no, I don't think so. I think that would have been made the arm too wide and too
I
thick
see.
and too heavy. So
Okay.
it's okay the way it is. I think you need that little bit of white space.
Okay.
Just be cautious of that next time.
Okay.
Okay, that's all. It's not. I wouldn't change it on this piece, Gina.
Okay.
It doesn't need it. I do feel like well, let's come back to the figure. I do feel like the bottom half, the legs, are working better for me than the upper half.
Yeah.
And so I feel like some of this blue paint here and the blue here and the blue here and the blue here are a little bit scattered and spotty for me.
Yeah.
So that you could maybe bring a little bit of this blue down and tie it into this one, or bring a little bit more blue up and tie it up into here.
Okay.
Possibly. And I do think that some of this collage down here could be up here too, maybe over the shoulder.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about that color right there, that sort of cream color right there. So maybe you could bring this lighter blue down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. I love the drawing, like I said earlier, but I do feel the figure is dangerously close to being outlined. I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So, you know, having an opening right here is good. Having it be open here is good. Have it be open here is good. And again, I don't think that's something you have to change on this piece. Just be wary of that for the next one.
Yep.
Have some openings a little bit and be careful of the outlining. Okay. Whoops. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'll let you have some good openness down here too, which I think. I think in the bottom half, the integration of all the elements that I was talking about earlier, the collage, the paint, the line, I think they're working slightly better than how it's working up here.
Yeah.
So I do think this is, you know, if you're looking at this piece for some knowledge of what carry on to the next piece, look down here because you've got good integration here. I also think there's a better mix of representation and abstraction down here than there is up here. Here it's become a little bit maybe too representational for you.
Yeah.
Down here, I think we got a good mix of that. I love these little pops of yellow down here. Love, love, love.
Do you know what happened?
What?
So that first piece of collage, I used matte medium and was able to get it down.
Okay.
The second piece, because the paper is pretty thick, I had trouble getting it down. So I just found 2 pieces of tape and taped it down.
Excellent. Excellent. That's fantastic. And look what happened. I mean, you got an interesting thing out of it.
It was
that you
kind of
didn't
a
know you were
happy
gonna get.
accident. Yeah.
So it makes me feel like when I see these little pops of yellow, it makes me feel like I want something up here. It might not be a pop of yellow, maybe it's a pop of orange, but I feel like there needs to be something up here
Yeah.
because of these pops of black and yellow down here.
Yes.
And I don't think that it should be, I don't want this to be everywhere. So, but I think that's something that's.
Yeah, I guess, to me, when I look at this piece,
Mhm.
the top half and the bottom half almost looks like two different pieces, because they're so
Yes.
different.
Agreed.
And I kind of wrestled a lot with that bent arm over the collage piece because I
Yes.
feel like it doesn't pop enough.
Right. Great. So maybe that's where you put a pop of color on that arm a little bit. Maybe right here
Yeah.
across that pink.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Gina, we did it. Is there any other questions you would like to ask me about the piece?
I guess,
We covered a lot, but.
Yeah, do you think introducing that yellow tape into the top half, maybe into that arm, would be a good idea?
I think I would hold it up to it and see if you liked it before
Okay.
you commit. I'm
Okay.
not sure it's the exact same yellow.
Yeah.
Might be too repetitious.
Right. Okay.
Maybe see this little bit of orange stripe right there?
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's bring that in there. So
Okay.
it'll still be in the yellowish warm family, but it won't be the same yellow.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what if this were my piece, that's what I would feel better about doing.
Yes. Okay.
What else you got?
Fantastic. Well, I think it's, a lot of what you say, David, I wrestle with as I'm painting.
Yes.
Right. And so that whole open space thing too.
Yep.
Right above that thigh, exactly right there. Yes. I had left that open. I drew it in and then I gessoed it back out and then I drew it back. It's like my hand can't help itself but put that line there.
Okay. Let me tell you something. Your hand doesn't have to help itself. Okay? I'd rather you put it in the moment and then take it out. I would rather you wrestle with it in the making of the piece rather than spend the time trying to make the right decision before you do anything.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Always err on the side of, or at least I try to do in my work, is of putting something in and letting your eye see whether it works or not, and then take it out if necessary.
Great.
So that's to me, that's part of the fun.
Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah, because you don't want to self-censor yourself during the making of the piece. You don't want to overthink the piece while you're making it. You want to be in the moment. You want to be in the passion. You want to be in the making of it. So just whatever goes on, goes on.
Okay.
The more work that you make, the quicker you'll make those choices. The better you'll learn to make those choices, ahead of time. So that's just numbers. That's just numbers of pieces. But yeah, no, if we had to pick one way to go, it's put it in and then take it out if necessary.
Okay.
And there might be times when too much line looks great, when outlining looks great. Really my suggestion was it's working pretty well on this one, but just things to think about for the next one. That's
okay.
It. Yeah.
Yep. Great.